Okay. Oh, 2 minutes, go.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Kindly give us a few minutes as we wait for the rest of the team to join. Thank you for creating time to join us this evening. We appreciate.
Okay. I'll start just when we 6:30 sharp. Okay. Shall I play the video now?
In a minute.
Okay. Okay. When you're ready, I'm ready.
Right, let's just give people 3 minutes. Can start playing the video at 6:33. Because we have 6 participants.
It's okay. I think we start on time.
All right, so we can play the video.
Yeah, they'll come.
All right.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Grace Kagume, and I'm the one who's going to be taking you guys through this. So we first play a video to emphasize on what diabetes is and the impact of diabetes and the burden of diabetes. So kindly follow. Thank you.
Okay.
We all know that diabetes is a serious global problem, right? But how serious? In 2015, 415 million people globally were estimated to have diabetes, and up to 91% type 2 diabetes. That's 1 in every 11 adults, and of those, almost half don't even know they have the disease. In fact, more people died from the consequences of diabetes in 2015 than of HIV/AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. The World Health Organization projects that by 2030, diabetes will be the 7th leading cause of death. That's a serious problem indeed. Yet diabetes remains an invisible epidemic. Why? Type 2 diabetes itself is not linked to any clinical symptoms, thus it is very often not diagnosed or diagnosed too late. While severe diabetes often leads to heart attack, stroke, or heart disease, diabetes itself is generally not named as the official cause of death. So when the root cause of death is diabetes, it's often attributed to something else. This has meant that the scale of the problem has been difficult to track. The first step in the development of type 2 diabetes is prediabetes. Prediabetes means that the blood sugar level is higher than normal, but not yet high enough to be type 2 diabetes. However, the long-term damage of diabetes, especially to the heart, blood vessels, and kidneys, may already be starting. The same factors that increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes increase the risk of developing prediabetes, and include, for example, being overweight, diet patterns, and inactivity. Prediabetes and type 2 diabetes do not discriminate. It can affect everyone, across all classes, societies, countries, and continents. And unless action is taken now, by 2040, around 482 million people might be affected globally by prediabetes, and an estimated 642 million people by diabetes, according to the International Diabetes Federation. So either directly or indirectly, all of us will soon be affected by this global issue. It will stress our healthcare systems, challenge our economies, and touch the lives of more and more people that we know and love. To solve this problem, we have to have a plan, and everyone in the healthcare ecosystem must work together. We have to help raise awareness, promote health education, and promote lifestyle changes that prevent the onset of prediabetes and allow a better management of type 2 diabetes. Merck KGaA Darmstadt, Germany, with its 60 years experience in the diabetes area, is taking those challenges seriously, and we are proactively reaching out to other players, such as the International Diabetes Federation, to form alliances to improve management of those conditions with a beyond-the-pill approach. Let's work together to keep our future healthy and fight diabetes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So thank you so much again, and I hope that was insightful, the video. I give the floor to Yvonne Carrier for the welcome remarks. Thank you, Yvonne.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to have you on the call today. Thank you so much for giving us some of your very busy time to join this. I believe it will be a very insightful session for everybody. Kindly put your devices on mute, please. Yes. So thanks so much for that good video that is kicking us off. So I'm delighted to welcome everybody to this very important meeting. It's going to be focused on an important topic that affects millions of individuals worldwide. Today we're talking about diabetes management. We have gathered here to gain very valuable insights into blood glucose monitoring and its significance in enhancing the health of the people living with diabetes. So as you all know, diabetes is a complex condition. It requires constant vigilance and effective management. It affects individuals of all ages, from all backgrounds, from all races. So its prevalence is really growing globally. So as we gather here today, it's really essential that we strive to deepen our understanding of diabetes and explore the innovative approaches to improve the lives of those living with diabetes. Through this meeting, we aim to foster a collaborative environment where everybody here on this call can exchange ideas, we can ask questions, we can broaden our perspectives, and really get to the heart of what is important when it comes to blood glucose monitoring. So let's actively engage in this discussion. Let's ask questions. Let's not shy away from asking any thought-provoking questions, and we can work collectively to create a positive impact for everybody who is living with diabetes. So without further ado, Grace, thanks so much. Those are that wraps up our opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Maybe Dr. Alice, we can start the recording. The speaker for today is Dr.
Just a second. Sorry about that. What happened? I forgot. Yeah. Yep. Okay, carry on. Thank you.
All right. Our speaker for today is Dr. Alice Ojwang. She's a lecturer at the Technical University of Nairobi. She has more than 25 years experience in management, prevention, and control of diabetes and related risks. She is very passionate and experienced in managing obesity and type 2 diabetes. She has worked extensively with people living with diabetes for a long time, and she's very influential. And she gives a lot of work of impact. She brings a lot of experience in doing things. Please join me in welcoming our speaker, Dr. Alice Ojwang, as she takes us through the basics of diabetes and what we need to know. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Alice.
Okay. Thank you very much, Grace, for that kind introduction. So I'm just going to talk about diabetes. I'm sure people have come here because they're interested in diabetes. Either they are affected, meaning they are diabetic themselves, or their families are diabetic people. So we're going to just make it really simple. And this is about monitoring. Why is it important? You know, when we talk about diabetes, we talk about everything else except monitoring. So let's start by defining diabetes. What is diabetes? Many times when I ask my client that, they're like, okay, it's a sugar disease, correct. Your insulin is bad. Your body cannot utilize sugar, correct. But diabetes is defined that. Diabetes is a condition that affects the way your body uses food for energy. So what happens? All of us need food. We all need to eat. When we eat, that food is converted to sugar. And because your body cells, the whole body uses sugar for energy, the body, with the help of insulin, is going to utilize this sugar. In other words, the insulin is going to open the door of the cell is going to absorb the sugar, and your body utilizes the sugar for energy. Remember, every part of your body requires energy. You know, the whole body, the skin, the organs, everything else. So when you're diabetic, it literally means that, yes, you will eat the food becomes sugar, but you cannot utilize this sugar for energy. This is because there's a problem. Either you have insulin resistance, the body is not able to recognize the insulin, so it's not being utilized, or you have very little insulin, or many other reasons. But that is when you're classified as either pre-diabetic or you're diabetic. Okay, and we have two types of diabetes. We have type 1 diabetes, which means that your pancreas or the beta cells in the pancreas are dead and they cannot produce insulin. So you are insulin dependent, you cannot be managed otherwise. And then we have type 2 diabetes, which means that you can still use your insulin, but you need medication to make the insulin sensitive. Or sometimes when type 2 diabetes, their blood sugars are completely high and out of control, then you will be put on insulin to help get better control. So a lot of the time when patients are put on insulin, they're like, oh no, I don't want insulin. But you know what? Insulin gives you better control. So it's good sometimes when your doctor puts you on insulin. So really, that is what diabetes is all about. But because I'm a dietitian, I'm going to be a little bit biased. So I'm going to talk a little bit about nutrition and also how it is related to controlling and monitoring your blood sugar. So we have defined diabetes. What is it? It's a condition that affects the way your body uses food for energy. That means for you to manage your diabetes, 80% is to do with your diet, okay? And then the other percentage is medicine, yeah? So 80% is diet and lifestyle. So how do you manage diabetes? You can manage diabetes by one, of course, managing your diet. First of all, you have to identify where is the problem? Why is my blood sugars high? So you need to be able to identify your habits that impact your blood sugar. Sometimes we don't know, but most of the time we have toxic habits that impact our blood sugar. Maybe we take too much, a lot of food in one sitting. That, remember, every food becomes sugar. So when you take too much food in one sitting, the sugars are going to be high. Or you take a lot of sodas and a lot of juices and a lot of fruits in your diet, which shoots your sugar. Or you take a lot of carbohydrates in your diet. Or you skip meals and stay long hours without food. Or you eat a large portion at night when you're going to sleep, when you're supposed to be taking less, and then your sugars are high at night. So most of the time, people have different habits that impact their blood sugar. So you have to identify these habits for you to manage your blood sugar well. Because what happens if you do not manage your blood sugar well? It means that your blood sugars will be high and out of control. Most of the time when you monitor the blood sugar, sometimes you monitor fasting in the morning, and that's it. Then people don't measure the blood sugar again. But you need to know that you need to monitor your sugar regularly, especially when you're newly diagnosed diabetic person. You have to monitor your blood sugar, you know, fasting, pre-meal, meaning before you eat the food, 1 hour after meal and 2 hours after meal. This is for you to be able to know how does this food affect my sugar? And then we need to know what the sugars should be. For example, when you're diabetic and you take a fasting blood sugar, if you're well controlled, should be 5. If you get 2 units above 5, meaning you get a blood sugar of 7, that means that your sugar is raised. if you get a blood sugar of 9 for fasting in the morning, that is plus 4 units above normal, that is a high blood sugar. If you're getting anything 10, 12, 13, very, very high blood sugar. So let me repeat, fasting, you should get a blood sugar of 5. If you get 2 units above that, raised blood sugar, 4 units above, high blood sugar, 6 units above, very, very high blood sugar. And so 1 hour, 2 hours after meal, you should be getting blood sugar of between 8 and 10. And this is because you've eaten. So if you get between 8 and 10, that's fine. If it's 2 units above 10, that's raised. If it is 4 units above 10, that's high. If it is 6 units above, that's very, very high. And so we need to know the numbers. And this is what we are going to be talking about mostly in this session. So if you're going to manage your blood sugar, excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm recovering from a cold. So if you're going to manage your blood sugar, you have to know the numbers. So I have said that, but when we finish, we're going to provide more education about it. And so what happens when you keep getting all those blood sugars after your meal? Then it means you're either eating too much carbohydrates in your meal, or you're taking large portions of food, or you have what we call blood glucose trigger. For example, a controlled diabetic should take pre-meal, they should be having 6, but after 1 hour after meal should be having 8, 2 hours after meal 10. That means you're controlled. And when you get a blood sugar of 10 at 1 o'clock, 2 hours after your meal, that's fine. But if you're getting it 3 hours after your meal, 4 hours after your meal, that's also a high blood sugar. So then you have to ask yourself questions. And this is why monitoring blood sugar is very important, because you have to know what's happening. So sometimes you'll find that when you eat a certain combination of food, your blood sugars always go 14, 15, 16. For example, and I'm going to talk about the different parts of this country. If you go to Kisii, people eat bananas, matoke, and beans. Matoke is a carbohydrate. Beans is 60% carbohydrate. So that means you're literally having double carbohydrate. So your blood sugars will be high. And so what you need to do is you need to eat 1 carb. So you eat the bananas and vegetables and your meat or eggs or chicken, or you eat the beans and your vegetables or meat or chicken. Let's come to Nairobi. In Nairobi, people eat a lot of double carbohydrates. You're eating chapati and beans. Your sugars will always be high. Or you're eating rice and beans. Your sugars will be high. So that is going to impact your sugar. So if you're eating 2 hours after food, your sugars are 14, 15. What did you eat? What was the combination? Let's go to Central Province. What do people eat there? A lot of potatoes. People eat potatoes. You make rice, beans with maize. So your githeri. You put potatoes, all right? And I have found that sometimes you also, so that is all carbohydrates. So you're having 3 carbohydrates in one meal. You have the beans, you have the maize, and you have added potatoes to this meal. Your sugars are going to be high. So you need to maybe perhaps make sure that you're eating half of your plate is githeri and the other half is vegetables so that you can control. Unfortunately, I have visited those places, and sometimes you will cook, this is Central Province, you cook rice and then you serve it with potato stew. So double carbohydrates, your sugars will be high. So if you're going to monitor your blood sugar, you have to, what am I eating to impact the sugar? Something else I found practicing diabetes for a few years, I found that also people have triggers, and people have different triggers, meaning there's just a particular food, if you eat it, then you get high blood sugars. Some people actually, it can be just the normal food. We are telling people to eat natural food. So you will eat your sweet potatoes, and your sweet potatoes is natural and it's good for you. When you're diabetic, you can eat anything. It's just the quantities that you need to watch. So you eat your sweet potatoes, no matter how little you eat, it always shoots your blood sugar. So if you eat that particular food with a good balance of vegetables and you still find that your blood sugar shoots, then that is your trigger. You need to stop it. I have also found that in the past that people also have certain spices that trigger their sugars. I had a patient who it took me like a month to discover that chili suppresses insulin action for her. And this is very individualized. This patient was type 1 diabetic. And on Fridays, she used to go and eat Indian food. And she takes a lot of chili. She has children. So she couldn't be keeping chili at home because she has had an accident in the past. So she will go on Friday to eat her chili, whatever she eats with chili. And her insulin won't work the whole weekend. Her sugars are 20, 26, 30, almost admission. And the doctor was like, you better find out what's making these sugars high. We found it is chili. For her, chili suppressed insulin action. For some people, it's coffee. So you need to monitor your blood sugar so that you know how the food affects your blood sugar. And I find that when people actually monitor their blood sugar for like a few weeks, when they had been diagnosed with diabetes, we monitor it like for a month. Every day you're taking so many sugars with different foods, and we look at the different foods that you're eating, then you have better control. So if you're monitoring your blood sugar and you find that your sugars are always high and your medication is going to be, you're going to take a higher dose of medication, then what are you eating? Are you eating whole food? Because you find out if you eat processed food or refined foods, your white rice, your white ugali, all these refined things, your sugars will always be high. If you're taking juices and taking your fruit and blending it, making it into juice, your sugars will be higher and you're going to take medication. So in short, if you're going to control your diabetes, you need to monitor your diabetes against your food intake. And you need to work with a dietitian, a diabetes educator. So always I make my clients send me your food data and send me your blood sugars. We sit down and we analyze it. I'll be able to show you for one of my clients in here sometime today. And so why is it important to monitor your blood sugar and manage your blood sugar? Because in the long run, if you don't monitor your blood sugar very well, sorry, I have a tool here to show you. I'll just get it. I think it's, oh, I should have put it next to me. Oh, it's actually right here. So you find that if you don't monitor your blood sugar very well, you're going to end up taking a lot of medication. So this is just a jar. You can imagine if you're taking 3 tablets every day, in 1 month, you're taking about 180 tablets. If you're times 3 months, that is, 365, 40 tablets every 3 months. I mean, what the side effects of those drugs are the ones that are going to kill you. And you are saying you might take these things for a long time, but if you monitor your blood sugar, then you know my blood sugars are high and it's because of this, let me take it down. And that helps you to control your blood sugar better. And you can actually reverse type 2 diabetes. I have done that for so many of my clients who want to reverse their diabetes. Or you can control it better that you're taking very little doses of diabetes medication. And so monitoring is important to avoid complications. One famous study is called the DCCT, Diabetes Complications Control Trial. They found that patients who monitor their blood sugar regularly actually do not get complications. If you don't monitor your blood sugar, you're likely to get complications because you don't know when it's high, you don't know when it's low. And then the distraction is just going on. So what are some of the complications that diabetes people experience? You know, it starts from the head because remember the blood sugar, when it's high, it's toxic to your blood vessels. So you can get an aneurysm, you can get blind, you can get a heart problem, you can get a kidney problem. And in Kenya, kidney problems are common. And this is because, like we have seen in the short video we watched, most of the time people don't check their blood sugar regularly. They go to the doctor when they're sick and very sick. When they start feeling sick a little bit, they're like, they take Panadols and all these things and don't check. But you know, you are going to be diagnosed with diabetes when you've been diabetic for 3 years. And so the first thing we see is you have an eye problem, you have a heart problem, you have a kidney problem. So we want to prevent that. And this is why we're having these sessions. You need, even if you're not diabetic, my friend, you need to take your blood sugars regularly. You need to go to the doctor, check your blood sugars regularly, or just, you know, buy a machine and take your blood sugar for 2-3 months, 1-2 weeks, just check your blood sugar. What's happening here? Especially when you hit the 50 mark, my friend. We are all at a very good risk of diabetes and other complications. So what we are doing here is to encourage you to manage your blood sugar. So the complications have stopped at kidney, but remember, people get amputations, okay? And they get many other complications. Your quality of life reduces, and diabetes is one condition that can be managed, controlled until you die of old age. So in short, taking drugs without eating properly and monitoring your blood sugar properly is like washing your hands and drying them in the dirt. Thank you very much, and I look forward to answering your questions after the next session. Over to you, Grace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alice. I wish to request that if anyone has any question, kindly put on the chat box, then we'll be able to handle all your questions at the end of this session. Our next speaker is Yvonne Carrier. We are privileged to have Yvonne. Yvonne is going to handle the topic of blood sugar monitoring methods and technologies. As you're aware, we're in the tech space right now, and many things are changing in how we monitor our blood sugar. As Dr. Alice said, it's very, very important that you know what triggers your blood sugar. Is it Gedel? She said chili. I'm surprised. I didn't even think chili could do such. But the question is then, how do you monitor your blood sugar? So let me introduce Yvonne. Yvonne holds a Bachelor of degree in biochemistry from the University of Nairobi. She's very experienced, having worked for the pharma companies for 15 years for two key organizations, that is Sanofi and Pfizer. She brings a lot of experience in terms of diabetes, having worked for Sanofi for 10 years, close to 10 years. Today, what we want for her to show us her expertise in an essential tool called continuous glucose monitoring. We will gain a deeper understanding of how continuous glucose monitoring can empower individuals, take control of their health, and improve their quality of life. Please join me warmly in welcoming Yvonne to enlighten us on this crucial topic. Karibu sana, Yvonne.
Thanks so much, Grace, for those kind words. So I'll take you through a brief presentation just to show you the different methods that we currently have available when it comes to monitoring your blood sugar. As Dr. Alice has told us, Dr. Ojwang, it is very, very important to know, as a person living with diabetes, the effect of your diet, the effect of your exercise, the effect of your medication, and you can only know this by checking on your blood glucose levels. So I just want to take us through that in a few slides. Give me a moment, trying to get to the next slide. Okay.
Are you okay?
I don't know, slides are not moving. Give me a moment.
You can just stop sharing and then start again.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Technology always does something.
I tell you. Okay.
Are they moving? Trust. Up, down with your arrows.
But I'm trying now. Can you share? Okay.
If not, then you don't.
Let me try a different screen.
Or remove those two. You have two screens? Detach one. That can always sometimes be a challenge.
Okay.
I've paused recordings. I'm just waiting for you, and then I'll continue.
Okay. Wow. Maybe I just remove the full screen.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, then I continue.
All right. So you can see the next slide. Thank you for your patience.
No, you haven't shared.
Okay.
You haven't shared. Share again.
All right. Go.
Yeah. Carry on.
Okay. So as I was saying, sorry for that hiccup. So as I was saying, we have different methods of testing for the blood sugar. So we have the commonly used finger pricking method. So if you have been diabetic or if you've gotten a test, you may have encountered this method. So this method involves manually pricking your finger with a lancet. Then you're able to draw a small blood sample, which is used for the testing. So it's an effective method, and however, unfortunately, it requires you to perform multiple finger pricks throughout the day to monitor your sugar levels. So if you were to do something like what Dr. Ojwang is proposing, you need to check your sugar before you have your meal, and then 2 hours after you have your meal. So in this case, to get your data maybe for the whole day, you may end up having 6 finger pricks, including the fasting. So you may have to have maybe 7 finger pricks. So that actually causes you to perform multiple fingerprints throughout the day. You also will use a glucometer with this to check on your glucose levels. So this is the commonly available method that is currently in use. So today I'd just like to introduce you to continuous glucose monitoring. It's known as CGM for short. So CGM is an advanced technology that measures your glucose level throughout the day and night. Please kindly mute. Okay, it consists of a small sensor inserted under the skin. This sensor measures your glucose levels by checking on the interstitial fluids. The transmitter sends real-time glucose readings to the receiver or a smartphone, then providing you a continuous stream of readings. So you can see that this is very different from what we've seen before with the fingerprints. So this one only needs you to have it implanted for the first time. You can see the 2 ladies. The white disc that you can see on their arms is what I'm referring to and calling the continuous glucose monitoring system. And as you can see, one of the ladies in a white shirt is using her phone to check the glucose readings, and the other one is using a receiver to check her glucose readings. So this CGM will offer a very comprehensive view of the blood glucose over time, and it will be able to capture trends and patterns as well as fluctuations. And the data will actually be stored for you. You know, when you do the fingerprint, you need to have a diary or you need to have a notebook where you record your readings. But for this kind of device, the data is actually saved for you and made into usable graphs. So like she was speaking about the lady who has the chili and the sugar goes up. So she may not be able to know that using a finger prick. However, this device will give her a space to put her notes on what she ate. So she'll say she had, her garlic naan and her butter chicken with extra chili. So she will notice that it is every Friday that her sugar goes to 20 or 18 or 17, and for the dinner. So you see, she'll be able to check very quickly and know what is working and what is not working for her. So why would you prefer to use continuous glucose monitoring or versus the finger pricking method. As we've discussed extensively, the frequency when you're using the finger pricking method, requires you to take multiple readings per day. So for example, you'll take your fasting sugar, you will take before your meal, 2 hours after your meal, and perhaps when you want to inject your insulin. So that leads you to have, maybe 8 or 9 tests per day, and that requires that many number of fingerprints. However, with the CGM device, all you need to do is place your phone or your reader next to the device, and it automatically gives you the reading. So it's actually, you can check as many times, because it doesn't hurt to use the reader. It doesn't hurt. You just put it next to it, and so you can do it even up to 10, 12 times, and it will be really convenient. The other advantage of using continuous glucose monitoring is that it offers real-time glucose readings, and it will provide you the insights into your glucose levels. Whereas the finger prick method only gives you the information for that time. So once you collect your data for about 7 days or so, you will begin to get graphs that show you the repetitive patterns. If I go out for a jog after my lunch, what happens? Do I get a better blood sugar reading? So once you do that consistently over a period of time, you are able to get, very good graphs which show you your patterns, even regarding your meals and your insulin intake or any other medication that you're taking. So that real-time data is really, really very valuable. And that goes hand in hand with the trend analysis. So you'll be able to look at your sugar reading. So most of these devices will last for up to 2 weeks. So you'll be able to see for the last 2 weeks, every 3 a.m. what happens, every 2 a.m. what happens. We recently had one of the people using the device whose sugar would actually drop in the night. And when this happens and the patient goes into a hypoglycemia, the device will actually sound an alarm. So it will ring, it will vibrate, and it will cause you to, wake up and do something about it. And this patient actually found that they were having low blood sugar at 3 a.m. So, they are a little older. He's an elderly gentleman, and he thought, that the sleep just finishes. So he told his doctor, I think nimeanza kuzeeka, usingizi inapotea, but actually he was going into a hypo. So after using this device and noticing that pattern, then he was really able to alter his medication and sort it out. So those are the kind of trends that you can actually see when you're using the CGM. So you can see this is a reader and this is the smartphone, and you can get your data presented to you like that. So I've alluded to the point number 4, where this device will actually give you an alarm. You set your high sugar, you set your low sugar, so you put your glycemic targets into the machine. So you'll say, let me know when my sugar goes above a certain point, let me know when my sugar goes below 3.9, that's when you're getting into a hypoglycemia. So this will be able to give you an alert, it will buzz, it will make a sound so that you can know. However, with a fingerprint, you may have to wait until you're feeling the symptoms. And there are some people who don't really feel those hypoglycemia symptoms very fast. So this is a very handy way to know that your sugar is dipping. So the convenience, of course, of using continuous glucose monitoring is that, you don't have a hassle. As you can see, the lady is busy preparing her dinner or lunch, and, she doesn't have to stop everything she's doing, wash her hands, prick. No, she'll just pick her phone and do the reading. As you can see with the gentleman, he's relaxing. Maybe you've left your glucometer upstairs and everything, or you've gone into a work meeting, so you're not able to check your sugars. So this device is with you, the reader is with you, and it's a quick swipe and you have your reading. So it's actually a very, very convenient tool for people living with diabetes. So to summarize, I'd just like to encourage everybody living with diabetes to look into continuous glucose monitoring for enhanced monitoring of your blood sugar. It offers the significant advantages that we've spoken about. And by choosing continuous glucose monitoring, you can have a comprehensive understanding of your glucose levels. You can make informed decisions and improve your diabetes management. So if this is something that is interesting to you, we request you to speak with your healthcare provider so they can tell you more about continuous glucose monitoring and how it can benefit you. I'll just end by showing this slide that was shared by my esteemed friend and colleague. He showed it to me, Festus, and it says, the diabetic who knows the most lives the longest. Thank you so much for listening, and sorry about the hiccup with the slides, but I think the point is home.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Yes, tech at times can fail us. You've seen that before. Thank you very much, Dr. Alice and Yvonne. I want to look at the questions. Let me go to the chat. This is for Dr. Ojwang. We know prevention is better than cure. What dietary preventative steps can one take, especially if they have predisposed higher risks of developing diabetes? Over to you, Dr. Ojwang.
What, could you please repeat the question?
We know prevention is better than cure. What dietary preventative steps can one take, especially if they have predisposed higher risks of developing diabetes?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. And let me just say this, that genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. So it's really good to know if you have a risk factors and you are, you come from families with diabetes, because it's your lifestyle that's going to pull the trigger. So what dietary preventative steps can one take? First of all, you have to identify your dietary habits. Because like I said earlier in my presentation, what is your lifestyle? What is your score? If I looked at your lifestyle, what is the score? So yes, diet plays a big role, but it's also related. Also other lifestyle factors play a role, like your sleeping habits, your exercise habits. So if we just talk about dietary, it's not enough. Let me give you an example. On a normal day, naturally, we need to eat more food in the morning and less in the evening. We are waking up to go to work, we need more energy. We are going home to sleep, we need less energy. And so if you normally eat a large meal at night and you eat your meat, your chicken, your fish, that actually prevents you from sleeping well. And so every day you wake up in the morning, you're going to be tired because you had a large Every day you're going to be tired because you had a large meal. So what happens? So if you're diabetic or at the risk of diabetes, what is going to happen if that's your life? Always tired every day in the morning. Your diabetes, your blood sugars will be high, and you have also risk of blood pressure and other complications. So yes, we need to change our eating habits, but you also need to change other things. You need to sleep better. You need to try and start exercising, maybe walking 30 minutes to 1 hour every day, 5 days a week, or every day of your life. Yes. But now let's just come to diet and answer your question. You need to look at your carbohydrate intake. How does your plate look like? When you have a plate of food, is it full of starch and then a little bit of vegetable, or how is it? But to cut the story short, this is how your plate should look like. Can you see that, Grace?
Yes, I can. No, I can't. I could see it earlier, now I can't.
Oh, what happened?
I think because of the background. Yes, bring it closer. No, I can't see it. Yeah, it's on and off.
Oh, it's always working, Yes.
Yes.
So half of your plate should be vegetables, a quarter starch and a quarter protein. And then what you need to do, always make sure that you're having vegetables with every meal. Because one of the things we find always raises a patient's blood sugar is your carbohydrate. So when you eat food without vegetables, you're more likely to hit a lot of carbohydrates on your plate, like a lot of bread, a lot of rice, a lot of potatoes, a lot of dairy. So always make sure that your plate looks like this. For men, they can always increase their protein and carbohydrate intake after having the first plate if they want to increase. But for women, you stick to this. Also, some of the goals for people with diabetes is just really to be healthy and to make sure that also their weight is managed. So if you have a risk of diabetes in your family and your weight is also high, then you also need to cut weight. Thank you. I think I answered more than just diet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. I think there's another one that's for you. How should the fat intake of a diabetic patient be?
Okay. Thank you for that question. First of all, I'd like to say this, that there is nothing like a diabetic diet. So there is nothing like a diabetic diet. Remember, everything we eat becomes sugar. 100% carbohydrates become sugar. And when you monitor your blood sugar, you'll find that even certain foods that are healthy trigger your sugar. So there is nothing like diabetic diet, diabetic bread, diabetic jam, because that is just a marketing gimmick. So everybody needs to eat a healthy meal, meaning you eat your whole meal, eat more food in the morning, less in the evening, drink water, have a lot of vegetables and exercise. It's only that most of the time people come to see diabetic person. I mean, most diabetic persons come to see the dietitian when they're sick. And so when you put them on this and you educate them on how they're going to eat, when they go home, everybody thinks that's a diabetic diet, but that's generally how everybody is supposed to eat. So fat is not bad. For a long time, fat has been demonized that, oh, nobody should eat fat, you should eat very little fat, but no, carbohydrate is actually the problem, it's the killer. So you can have, your vegetables should always be fried, especially your green vegetables, because you have what you call your fat-soluble vitamins. So you need to add oil in your vegetables to be able to absorb your fat-soluble vitamins. So you should never, ever boil your vegetables. But I always find that people fry the meat and steam the vegetables. No, the meat already has sufficient fat. Your fish has enough fat. Your chicken also has enough natural fat. All you need to do is spice it. But your vegetables, you should always add some oil. Things like beans and maize and your githeri, you can fry it just with a little oil. So you should not be afraid to eat oil. You should not eat boiled food because it's not sustainable and it's not fair. The food needs to be tasty. You can add a little salt. If you're hypertensive and you're not allowed salt, that's fine, but you can always add some natural spices, your garlic, your ginger, and all your different spices to make the food tasty. So you need to not fear fat. So please add fat to your food, and there's nothing like a diabetic diet. Everybody needs to eat healthy. It's only that the first time the diabetic person finds out how to eat healthy is when they're diabetic. Then when they go home, everybody thinks that's diet, mother's diet. No, that's how the family needs to eat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doc. There's another question, which I'll give it to Yvonne. Where can we purchase CGM device? There are two of them. And what is the cost of the CGM? Maybe I can do the first part. In case you need any CGM, you can get in touch with Yvonne and I. We'll give our contacts on the chat box or even on the poster. Our contacts are there. Can you get in touch with us? We can help you get that. The cost of the CGM, I would say it depends. So let's have a discussion because it depends on what you're looking out for. Great about the CGM. What's the cost and is it covered by insurance, Yvonne?
Okay, so thank you. So as we said, we have different options for the CGM. So we need to discuss about the cost once we ascertain, what you require exactly, and then we can see how to go about it. Because there are some which you have for 7 days, others for 10 days, others for 14 days. So we need to find out what is the best for you. So as regards insurance, it's something that we are working on, because, you know, when you look at the statistics on the benefits of using CGM, really, it's something that should be covered. And in the Western countries, definitely it's covered. So we are working towards that. But for now, we are not aware of any insurance that is able to cover this device.
There's a comment from Jennifer. Thank you very much, Yvonne. I had a CGM for 2 weeks. I did not have diabetes. It was the best ever birthday gift I ever gifted myself. I got to understand how exercise and fasting affect my blood sugar, my energy levels. It's great for athletes. Thank you very much. I confirm the same, Jennifer. I did for 2 weeks and got a lot of information regarding my workouts, what I eat. I didn't know that carrot juice was bad for me. But when I took it, when I had the CGM, clearly got some very nice insights on what I eat and how they affect my blood sugar. Yvonne, please add the contact now. Yvonne, please do that.
Okay.
And how much is CGM for 2 weeks? Again, it depends, and collaborate with your healthcare provider so that you can agree on what you require. We recommend that please have a discussion with your healthcare provider before you know which CGM you want. So Yvonne, can you put your contacts there? Doc, is a question. How much fruit can I eat in a day?
Yeah, I like those questions. How much fruit can somebody eat in a day?
Yeah.
So between me and you, assuming you're not Paul Tergat or all these runners, then you can eat 2 to 3 fruits a day, maximum. And you need to eat it whole and not juice it. So just 3 to 2 fruits. Most of the time, actually, when I take my clients through a course called carbohydrate intelligence. And so when they learn about carbohydrate intelligence and how it affects their blood sugar, then it's no longer how many fruits you eat, because fruit is a carbohydrate. It becomes 100% sugar and it impacts your sugar. So then they will decide, where is my carbohydrate coming from? Assuming it's breakfast. Is it going to come from sweet potatoes? Is it going to come from fruit? Or is it going to come from legumes? And so then they will take a fruit with their piece of meat and their vegetables. And so they've had their carbohydrates. So yes, so if you want to also go through this carbohydrate intelligence course, then you need to we will send you an email. Anyway, we have your emails. But yes, so assuming you're not Paul Tergat, the runners, then you can eat a maximum of 3 fruits a day. And please don't juice it, because when we juice, then we end up eating a lot of fruit and we end up taking a lot of fructose, which has been found to be very dangerous. I have a client who brought in a 2-year-old one time, and the 2-year-old was obese. A 2-year-old was about 25 kilos. I mean, that's obese. They are like double the weight they're supposed to be. And 5 minutes into the conversation, I actually knew. I actually knew exactly what was going on, because this lady, because she wants her child to be healthy, she juices fruit. So she will give the child 5 oranges for breakfast. You see, if you're eating fruit, you can't eat 5 oranges. But if you blend it, you can drink it in a glass. So all those who are here who take a lot of juices in their meals, blend the fruit, stop doing that, please. You're taking a lot of acid, a lot of fructose. If you're diabetic, that's going to shoot your sugars. Your medication is a lot higher when you take the juices. So just take 3 fruits in a day, with your breakfast, with your lunch, and with your dinner. Thank you. Or in your snacks. But when you're diabetic, we also prevent you from snacking. So this is the time we tell you something different. You need to eat your fruit with your meal, not with your snacks. Because remember, every time you eat, your sugar increases. So if you're eating breakfast, your sugar increases. Then you eat 10 o'clock, a snack, sugar is high. Then lunchtime, high. Then a snack, high. Then dinner, high. So you have like 5 sharps in your sugars. So to reduce that, you eat 3 meals a day and you learn to stick to those, or 2 meals a day if you're in your 40s and heading 50s. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doc. There's a comment from Naomi Nyiha. Thank you, Doc, for putting it out there. There's no diabetic diet, because a lot of people in the community are really misinformed, especially type 1 diabetics. Janet, thank you. This has been a very fruitful session. Let me see. Please get in touch so you can comment a device and then inform me the course. That's Yvonne. Very, very informative session. Learning so much, even for the non-diabetics. Good presentation from Mr. Kagume. I think I haven't missed any other question from the chat.
Maybe some people want to speak, so they can just
Yes.
put their
Please
hands
raise
up
your hand.
and
Yes,
speak so
when
we can
I
hear
mute
their
you.
voices. Yeah.
Please. The floor is open for questions. We wanted to be very, very interactive, not lecturing, for all of us to learn. A comment. Thanks, Doc, for addressing whole food versus juicing. Very informative.
Okay, then if people are not asking questions, I have a question for you, for everybody who is in the room. What did you eat for breakfast today?
Please
You can
type your answer in the chat.
Put it in the chat or raise your hand. Let's have this discussion. What did you eat for breakfast? And then I'll be able to tell you what's wrong with your breakfast. Let's go there. I'm watching the chat. Coffee and an orange, tea and sausage, sweet potatoes. Keep coming, keep coming. 2 bananas and tea, nothing. Watching. Black coffee. Some people I see had a meal. Okay, it's going too fast. 2 eggs, 2 dates. Yeah, that's good. Spanish omelette. Yes. Skip breakfast. Tea sausage githeri, not bad. Okay. Black tea. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your answers. So usually breakfast, you need to know that breakfast should be your largest meal. And I'm sure you've heard of this saying. It's like a king for breakfast, a princess for lunch, and a pauper for dinner. And this is because this is natural. This is not rocket science. When you wake up in the morning, you need more food because you're going to work, you're going to expend more energy. So when you make a habit of eating breakfast and including a protein in your breakfast, you see a protein is going to be digested 7 to 8 hours. So if you eat a protein in the morning, it means your energy levels go on for 7 hours. So if you eat breakfast in the morning, it means that at 3 o'clock, that's when you're starting to feel hungry and you're looking for food. And that gives you so much energy and you actually don't get tired. And even you're able to control the amount you eat for dinner because you're not extremely hungry. But if you skip breakfast, you're always going to be tired at the end of the day. Why is that? Because your brain uses ready glucose for energy. And so you wake up, you have not eaten anything, there's no glucose, but the brain will still work. So it will use stress hormone for energy. And that makes you very tired at the end of the day. People who have migraines will always get tired at the end of the day. I mean, will always get a trigger at the end of the day if they don't eat breakfast. So yes, the latest you can eat breakfast may be 10. If you're on intermittent fasting, that's a different story. But I'll tell you, if you just ate even just carbohydrates for breakfast, that's also not good. You had 2 chapatis and black tea for breakfast. That's just going to last you 2 to 3 hours, and then you're hungry. And studies have shown that if you actually just eat starch for breakfast, let's say you eat your rice only, or chapati only, or tea only, or fruit only, within 2 hours, you're hungry and you want to eat something sweet again so that you can get that sugar boost. So what I'd recommend is always try and eat something more for breakfast. That food that you eat for dinner, that ugali, nyama, mboga that you eat for dinner, if I was to put all of you in a camp, that's what I would give you for breakfast. This 1 banana, these 2 bananas is what I'll give you for dinner. So if you eat too much at night and very little in the morning, turn it around and see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doc. There is a question. Kindly enlighten us on intermittent fasting and ketogenic diets. You can combine that with the one for Kritika Patel. What do you eat intermittent fasting?
Okay, intermittent fasting. That's always a good story, but I don't even want to talk about it. Maybe the next time we can actually just have a session on intermittent fasting. Yeah. So intermittent fasting is a science that is been found to be very useful for health. It was actually the person who discovered how important intermittent fasting actually won a Nobel Peace Prize in 2006. Look it out. And the reason they won this is because they discovered what we call autophagy. Autophagy is a process where the body actually renews the cells. It excretes the dead cells, the dead proteins, and so it helps to renew your body cells. And so you first, that means, you stay without food for a certain amount of hours. So the longest time was found that you can stay with food. The shortest time was maybe 10 hours. You don't eat anything for 10 hours. Or then there's 16 hours, and then you stay without food for 20 hours. So that means that you have like a day when you're eating, maybe for 8 hours you're eating, and then after that you do not eat at all. You only drink water, but you can drink like black tea, like herbal things, something healthy without sugar, without milk, without fat. And then that helps your body to renew itself. It's also been found to be very useful in reversal of diabetes and also weight loss. I can say I have put some of my patients on intermittent fasting, but mostly I put my cancer patients on intermittent fasting because they benefit the most. For diabetic patients and people who want to lose weight, I take them through 3 courses first, 3 sessions. One of the sessions, or 4 sessions, they have to go through carbohydrate intelligence, they go through emotional eating, they go through relationship with food, and then they go through conscious eating. Once they understand the relationship with food, then they can go through intermittent fasting. This is because I found that people who go to intermittent fasting and just fall in without knowledge, once they finish and they will stop, yes, they will lose weight and benefit, but they will go back to eating normally, and soon they gain the weight and more. And most of the time, excuse me, sorry. Most of the time, they actually end up becoming carbohydrate junkies. Like they're always craving carbohydrates, and so they eat a lot of carbohydrates, But with good guidance, intermittent fasting works. And I've used it, I've helped people reverse type 2 diabetes, lose weight, and put cancer into remission. But you need to learn what to do. You need guidance to be able to be very successful with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. There's another one for you. Would you recommend sugar monitoring for non-diabetics if they have a higher risk for developing diabetes?
Yes, I would highly recommend it. Take it for that 2 weeks or for 1 month and just know what happens to your sugar, how you eat. Because remember, most of the time we are diagnosed with diabetes when we are like 3 years being diabetic, okay? So if you have a risk, take this opportunity. Take even 2 weeks, 1 or 1 week if you have. I don't know if you have that. Just monitor your sugar. Eat normal. Monitor your sugar, and then come and see, and then come with your data to see the dietitian or your doctor, preferably the dietitian or the diabetes educator. So then you can learn what you need to change so you can completely prevent diabetes. I highly recommend it, and most of the time, 80% of the time, unless the patient is not able to, it's not useful for me to educate you on diet without looking at your blood sugar monitoring results. It's not helpful at all. So diabetics always need to get a machine to monitor their blood sugar, and we are in contract with some of these people who sell these things. So then we can also get for you very reasonable price. Sometimes if somebody is really needy and we can see it, we can help them, but the pharmaceutical companies do help a lot. So yes, I highly recommend, if you're not diabetic, especially in your 40s and above, please monitor your sugars per week and come and see me. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. From Britain Onyango, I've managed to learn something about blood sugar monitoring methods and technology, especially about CGM and how convenient it is. The session has been very informative. Thank you. You're most welcome. Naomi, is it advisable for type 1 to go through intermittent fasting, Doc?
Well, type 1 patients are always very young, and so no. So especially children, they are going through, they are growing and they are developing. And when you put them through intermittent fasting, you definitely interfere with their nutrient intake, and that affects their growth and development. So when they're under 18, it's not recommended. Yeah, but if somebody if above 18, maybe yes, sometimes with very good guidance, yes, they can.
All right, thank you, Doc. Lena Karemi, very informative presentation. Thank you. You want any other question? We want you to leave this place when you're empowered. You know about continuous glucose monitoring. You know about your diet. So that if you are living with diabetes or you are a caregiver, you can empower people around you, around the diabetes space. As we continue training more and talking more about this very, very key topic, because all of us, diabetes is going to be the next big thing, as you saw from the video initially. By 2030, diabetes is going to be a big deal, 27 years from now. Any other question or comments?
Diabetes is already a big deal, even in Kenya. The prevalence is increasing every day. So please monitor your blood sugar, or go and get at least a blood sugar test or a test that is called HbA1c, and just see what's your average blood sugar for the last 3 months. So please, if you're in this session, I beg you or dare you to check your blood sugar, and make sure you check it every so often. Not after 6 months. Every 3 months, go check your blood sugar. Check it at different times so that you can be safe.
Okay, Doc, we are going to give your contacts in the chat. Someone wants to see to have your contacts. Then, how can I see Dr. Alice? Doc, how can you be seen? Please tell us. Not on the screen.
I see people on appointment only, and so so I'll put the clinic number, and then they can call my assistant and book an appointment. And we also have a group wellness program, which is called Total Lifestyle. We are season 4 starts in June 5th. But since if you registered for this, then we will send you more information about it as well. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a question from Naomi.
Yeah.
Is it true a type 2 can stay without carbohydrates unlike type 1? Doc, are you on mute?
Is that for me?
Yes. Is it true a type 2 can stay without carbohydrates unlike type 1?
Not at all. Not at all. There are people who are advising that you can go on no carbohydrates. First of all, it's not natural, because remember, our good God Jehovah created carbohydrates and different foods for you to eat. It is not even sustainable not to take carbohydrates. Remember that also your B vitamins that moderate or regulate your metabolic system come from carbohydrates. So you need to eat carbohydrates, but you need to eat small portions of carbohydrates. So you cannot do without carbohydrates. I would never recommend something like that. Whatever we do always needs to be realistic and sustainable and doable. Thank you.
Thank you. Pichuka Patel, I'd like to see her online, and they should give the number for her assistant, and then you can book an appointment. There is a question. Is fasting sugar 6.8 high, Doc?
Yes, it is. Remember, if you're diabetic and the fasting sugar is 5, that's good. If it's +2 units, that's high. And if you're not diabetic and your fasting sugar is 6.8, then you're either diabetic or you're pre-diabetic. So you need to get what we call a HbA1c, HbA1c test, so that you can be able to be diagnosed and you can be treated and managed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other question? I would wish to give a chance to Festus Kamau for any comments. Festus Kamau is one of our diabetes nurse educators. For any comments, Festus? Yes, Festus.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Dr. Alice and Yvonne. It's a good and insightful presentation. Yeah, it's good for us to know how to monitor our blood sugar. And it's also good to know how to merge our food so that we can know what's the outcome of the food that we are eating. And also so that we can live healthy and we have our quality of life. That's it. It's a key. Our quality of life. Diabetes is real. So let's know our numbers well, our numbers correctly. And when we do that, then we will run away from many things. We will delay complications. Remember, every time you are diagnosed with a complication that arises from diabetes, that's another financial burden because that has also to be treated. So the better that if your blood sugar is well controlled, then we keep away from the complications, and then we remain productive, the better. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Festus. Doc, is a question from Joyce. Joyce, I know you. Doc, what's the relation between PCOS and diabetes?
What's the relationship between polycystic ovarian syndrome and type 2 diabetes? So what is known is that nobody knows the cause of PCOS, but what has been shown is that people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome will develop type 2 diabetes in their lifetime, like 75% of it. So that would be the relationship. Also, it's been shown that, when you're overweight, for example, there are people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome and they're very skinny, but there are also people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome and they're overweight. When you're overweight, then we know that you have what you call insulin resistance. You keep developing insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is, it gets worse with time. That just means that your pancreatic beta cells, they produce insulin and then they can no longer produce insulin. And so then the result, you get high blood sugars and prediabetes. And that it's also been shown that people who have insulin resistance are also likely to develop PCOS because it has been found with people who are overweight with insulin resistance. But remember also, some people are slim with polycystic ovarian syndrome. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doc. Any other question? You can unmute and ask a question live. I've seen Monica Kirago here. She's still here. There's a question, Doc, as you read from Monica. Is it normal to be 4 types of drugs in type 2? Is it normal to be 4? I'm not sure the question is clear.
Maybe to have 4 types of drugs, I don't know. Maybe. Please clarify.
Clarify, Janice. You can just unmute and ask.
Yeah, maybe I understand. Is it possible for you to be on 4 types of medications to treat diabetes? Yes. Sometimes when your blood sugars are very high, remember, you can be put on, first of all, medication to improve insulin sensitivity, all right? Then you're put on to improve the insulin sensitivity. Then you're put on another medication to make your pancreas produce more insulin. Then you're literally put on medication to reduce the speed at which your carbohydrates become blood sugar. So yes, you can be on different drugs for type 2 diabetes, but then that just means that your blood sugars are not well controlled. And the next thing is you're going to be on insulin. And if you've not changed your lifestyle and done a few things to help you control that sugar, then you're going to live long enough to suffer from major diabetes complications. So having many drugs to manage your diabetes, manage your blood pressure, manage any chronic condition, it's always a symptom that you're not doing a good job at managing. So you need to start by monitoring your blood sugar, seeing a dietitian, seeing a diabetes educators. Remember what the Yvonne's slide ended by saying, the diabetes person who knows more lives longer. So we need to get into education mode so that you can learn more about diabetes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Doc. There's a question, how can I get a record of this session? We shall send you via emails that you used during the recording. Yes. And I'd wish to bring this webinar to an end. Thank you very much. Hi, Virginia.
Can I ask the last one? Hi, how are you? I was
yes,
listening
please.
on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, so come back and register. Thank you. Can I say something? Just a quick
yes,
one.
Please. Yes, please.
Yeah, it was a very good presentation. I just want to know, people who are pre-diabetic, are they allowed or are they supposed to be taking meds for diabetes on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm. It depends on your blood sugar levels. You know, sometimes if you've just been diagnosed with like as a pre-diabetic, so it means that you have what I think another doctor called optional diabetes. What that means is you have an option to prevent diabetes or to become diabetes. So if you've been told you're pre-diabetic, then you need to take steps to change your lifestyle, monitor your diet so that you can say goodbye to diabetes. But if you don't do anything about it, you're going to live long enough to be diabetes. So most of the time, you're not actually put on medication. The doctor says, go change your diet and prevent it and come back and see me after 6 months. So you're not supposed to be on treatment for it because it's just lower blood sugars. The sugars are not high enough for you to get treatment. But sometimes also people, you see, if you go and do a fasting blood sugar only to manage to diagnose you diabetes, then you can actually miss diabetes. You can think you're pre-diabetic, but you're actually diabetic. So the best is to get an all-round blood sugar monitoring for even 2 weeks. So then you can be sure that I'm actually not diabetes, or my pre-diabetes state is at 20% and not 80%, something like that. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. If there's other question, I wish to bring this meeting to the end, the webinar. I want to say thank you very much, Dr. Alice, for the presentation. Very, very informative. So thank you very much to Yvonne for the digital technology in diabetes. That was very, very informative. And to all of you participants for taking time to join us. We shall be having several of these meetings. We have your contacts and your emails. We shall be inviting you. Thank you very much. I hope all of us are going to leave this place empowered. If there's any question, kindly get in touch with us. Yvonne has posted our numbers and Doc's PA's number. So kindly get in touch with us. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All the best. Remember taking
Bye.
flags
Thank you.
out.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Bye. Yep. Oh, I can stop recording now.
Mhm.
Okay, some people are coming now. Bye-bye, everybody. Session is
Bye.
over. So
Maybe next time.
next time. So what I'll do, I'll end the session and we'll come back and review.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say your comments if you still have 1 or 2 comments as you go.
Your contacts and clinic, Dr.
Oh, it's in the chat. It's in the chat. Yeah, it's in the chat there. So we can just put it. Yvonne, you want to put it at the bottom again so that you can see?
Okay. Let me post it.
Okay, I'll end the session and then we'll just